the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, UNDRIP, is a landmark document that was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2007. It is a statement of the internationally recognized rights of the world's indigenous peoples and is the first global standard-setting instrument that recognizes the collective rights of indigenous peoples. The declaration is intended to protect and promote the rights of indigenous peoples throughout the world, including those in the United States, Canada, and Australia. The UNDRIP sets out a wide range of rights for indigenous peoples, including the right to self-determination, the right to maintain and develop their cultures, religions, and languages, and the right to land and natural resources. It also provides for the protection of traditional knowledge and cultural expressions, and addresses the issue of restitution and compensation for lands taken without indigenous consent, or without adequate compensation. The adoption of the UNDRIP marks a major step forward in the recognition of the rights of indigenous peoples. It is an acknowledgement of the unique identity, culture, and rights of indigenous peoples, and a recognition of the contributions they have made to the world's social, economic, and political development. Since its adoption, the UNDRIP has had a positive impact in many parts of the world, including in the United States. In 2009, the U.S. government endorsed the document, and in 2016 the U.S. Senate unanimously passed a resolution formally recognizing the UNDRIP. This resolution, however, is non-binding and does not create any new legal rights for indigenous peoples in the U.S. The UNDRIP has also been incorporated into the laws of some countries. For example, in 2011, Bolivia became the first country to incorporate the declaration into its domestic legislation. In addition, the UNDRIP has been used as a reference in the development of various regional and domestic laws and policies, including in Australia and Canada. Despite this progress, there are still many challenges to the implementation of the UNDRIP. The declaration has been criticized for its lack of enforcement mechanisms, and for the fact that it does not address the root causes of discrimination and injustice faced by indigenous peoples. In addition, the declaration is not legally binding in many countries, making it difficult for indigenous peoples to enforce their rights. Moreover, the UNDRIP does not address the issue of free, prior, and informed consent, FPIC, which is a key principle of indigenous rights. FPIC requires that indigenous peoples should be consulted and their consent obtained before any decisions are made that affect their rights and interests. Without a binding commitment to FPIC, indigenous peoples may find it difficult to protect their rights and protect their long-term interests. Finally, there have been instances of governments and corporations disregarding the UNDRIP and continuing to infringe upon the rights of indigenous peoples. In particular, some governments have failed to recognize the rights of indigenous peoples to their lands, territories, and resources, and have instead granted these rights to corporations and other entities. Overall, the UNDRIP is a significant achievement for the rights of indigenous peoples. It marks an important recognition of the unique identity, culture, and rights of indigenous peoples. However, there are still many challenges to the implementation of the declaration, and much more needs to be done to ensure that the rights of indigenous peoples are respected and their voices heard.